I really think that having empty spaces that are often spaces of destruction is critical for a kind of urbanity that cannot just lie in the architecture, that has to lie also in the imaginaries of people. So I don't know about parallel universe, all the grand projects that were never built. I can imagine an architect thinking that way. I'm not an architect. So I'm very interested in the distributed knowledges that people who live in a city, who work in a city, who suffer in a city, who are whatever, what they have and how they can project. So this notion of terrain vague, empty space. The empty space is a critical space. And I always I think of this notion of urban amnesia, a forgetting of urban histories. And then I think, how do you trespass into amnesia? Literally trespass, cross a forbidden boundaries. And that is where our imaginaries, our minds come into play. We trespass into that emptiness, which is a kind of amnesia, an amnesia that materializes in an empty space. A city shouldn't have empty spaces, right? It should be a fancy park, but just terrain vague, where a building was destroyed. That's not urban. But that is precisely what enables some other urban operations, which have to do with our imaginations. We can fill it in with either grand projects that were never built, or we can fill it in with our memories of some not very impressive building, but it's still there, we project. So I mean, there are these wonderful examples. For instance, there's a huge parking lot in Los Angeles. Where else? Big parking lot, Los Angeles, yes. And it covered up a settlement of black people. There were not many black people in the West Coast. And total erasure of that history, right? You built. Actually, no. That empty zone that is a parking lot, especially when the cars are not there, is a provocation. You say, what was there before? This is how the city works. You see, that is the urban imagination. You don't say, oh, parking lot is a parking lot. No, you say, what was there? We know in Central Park, the big park in New York, that one part was one of the first settlements of black people. Clearly black residential areas were devalued. And it suddenly becomes present. You are in that part of Central Park. You don't see the trees anymore. You see that which was erased. That is what a city does. That is what a plantation has a harder time doing. But a plantation can also be an invitation for that. These extreme interventions, a plantation is an extreme intervention, right? It's not a small, connected to nature farm. Those are also provocations, and the city is full of them because we are continuously destroying stuff. So I agree completely with Richard Sennett when he says some of those grand buildings should just be destroyed because they become really provocations, so that there is an urban imaginary and it's not just urban real estate, right? That is sort of a different way.